DJ Moore and Tremaine Edmonds are turning heads at OTAs. We're going to talk about that and how that does bode well for the offense and defense progression that we hope to see this season. And we're going to go into the top reasons why Bears fans are still pessimistic about this team. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
All right, Bears fans, welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize. You can follow me right off the top at CEO Haize, and you can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform that we are on. But let's go ahead and get into the topics for today. So, first up, DJ Moore is absolutely turning heads with everything that he's doing at OTA. When you look at Matt Eberflus saying this, the first thing I noticed is speed. Wow, there's a different gear there. You know, that was exciting to see. And then he also says it's rare when you've got a guy that can run the route and have the route discipline that he has and the football IQ that he has, and then also the speed and that talent he has. At the end of the day, everybody is impressed with DJ Moore because they should be. And because DJ Moore is a number one wide receiver. And, you know, again, no slight to Chase Claypool or Darnell Mooney. They were miscast. DJ Moore is absolutely a number one, and he is going to make the game easier for everyone. And by that, I don't just mean the other wide receivers on the roster or Justin Fields. I also mean the running game, right? We were such a run-reliant team last season. There's a difference between being run-heavy and run-reliant. We're still going to be a pretty run-heavy team when you look at our running back room, but we were so reliant on the running game from both our running backs and Justin Fields to even get our offense going by any respectable manner, right? And because of that, having DJ Moore, a legit threat that makes the game easier for our quarterback and for the wide receivers, it's also going to free up some more in that running game. It's going to allow us to get a little bit more creative with our play style as well. And hearing that DJ Moore is turning heads, rightfully so, is what we expected to hear at this point in OTAs and stuff, right? You don't expect to hear anybody come out of OTAs like, hey, that dude isn't all that good. But, you know, with that said, DJ Moore is going to be a revelation for this team. But he has to be supported and used properly and correctly by our offensive coordinator in Luke Getsy, right? And I hope that going through this OTA season and offseason overall and looking at the weapons we have, Robert Tonyan, Cole Kmet, just the versatility that we could have offensively, I really do hope that Luke Getsy is spending these OTAs this offseason really getting that playbook to be a little bit more creative than what we saw last season. Now, it's going to start off pretty simplistic at first, just trying to get everybody in gear, in rhythm, things like that. But once we get going, Luke Getsy has no more excuses. And as much as the growth of Justin Fields is important as well to this offense and getting everybody the ball, Luke Getsy also has to take that step up as an offensive coordinator. But DJ Moore hopefully is going to make that transition easiest for everyone. Justin Fields, even impressed by DJ Moore's strength and speed and body control, saying this: he knows how to use his body to get open. That's a big part in receivers. He knows how to tip a route, so he's rarely ever going to be running 100% on all these routes. He has that second gear to go get the ball. I think that's what makes him a great receiver. Just his understanding of the coverages, seeing the defense well, and stuff like that. DJ Moore is going to make the offense easier for everybody this upcoming season. And I think that that's something that we need. When you're still looking at a lot of the pieces of this offense, offensive line, our quarterback Justin Fields, developing, having a surefire thing like DJ Moore and bringing that skill set. And again, like I said, I'm focused on DJ Moore now because that's what the quotes were about, but you do not want to overlook how this is going to help Darnell Mooney, how this is going to help, theoretically, Chase Claypool, how this is just going to help everyone kind of fit more into their natural roles and be able to help this team out a lot more. I'm telling you guys, I'm excited about this offense, and that is one of the biggest reasons why. It's DJ Moore, the offensive line that we have improved on dramatically as well, and then the growth of Justin Fields, right? Those are all reasons to be extremely excited about what the Chicago Bears have in their team next year. And it's just really up to Justin Fields to develop and Luke Getsy to really, really get that play calling and to use these weapons in the best of their ability. We cannot have another season of us just running a simplistic offense that doesn't really get creative at any way. We have no excuses for that. And if Luke Getsy does not get creative again, not necessarily expecting that to come out at the beginning of the season, it's going to take some time for this well-oiled machine to come together in the way that on paper it looks like it can come together. But once it does, right? Once we start getting those, we make routine and build in those good habits, that good muscle memory, as I talked about before with Justin Fields. Once we start getting that established, it's up then to Luke Getsy to make sure that he keeps us an interesting play calling team. And we got the weapons to do so. And I love hearing that DJ Moore, even in OTAs, is building that chemistry with Justin Fields. He's showing what he needs to bring to the coaching staff, and we need to hit the ground in a way that we show ourselves a little bit more of a formidable offense. So many games last season we could have been in a little bit more, and we were in, right? How many, we've talked about several times, how many games we lost by one score or less, right? In a lot of those games. And so this team just being a much better offensive unit and having more weapons, telling you guys we're in for an exciting season of Chicago Bears offense. But that does not mean we're not in it for exciting season on the defensive side of the ball as well. For those that have been watching the show for a while, you know I'm a defense guy. I love offense as well, don't get me wrong, especially running backs as a former running back myself. But I love defense, and especially Chicago Bears defense when we're one of the best defensive teams in the league. And I want to see, I'm going to keep quoting it, I want to see us be back to the monsters of the midway defensively. But I also think we can be the monsters of a midway in a different way when you look at what we can bring offensively and defensively. But Tremaine Edmonds and him talking about this Bears defense and how he sees himself fitting in it has me pretty excited as well. More things coming out of OTAs from that. Tremaine Edmonds says this: I'm excited just because I feel like I'm going to be in a position to make a lot of plays. Just because of background of Matt Eberflus's background on defense, he has a great understanding of it all. Just putting guys in position as a player, that's all you can really ask for, is to be in position, and now it's up to me to go and make the play. Goes on to say, I'm just excited about what's to come just by going through it every day, right? And so here's what I'll say. Tremaine Edmonds was one of the biggest acquisitions that we made this offseason. And when you look at him now, being reported he's going to be playing the middle linebacker for us, and what that means for a Chicago Bears team, it's going to be important. One of the best coverage linebackers in the NFL last season. And then when you look at the fact of how he still has not hit his ceiling yet, right? Tremaine Edmonds is not done improving as a player by any stretch of the imagination. And that is why we here at Chicago Bears Central like this pickup for the Bears so much, is because Edmonds brings in a nice mix of veteranship, which we need to this team, leadership, and still enough room for growth that we have not seen the best of Tremaine Edmonds potentially yet. Still only 25 years old, right? And because of that, we can see and benefit from that. 5 years in the NFL. 5 years in the NFL. And so, you know, when you just look at everything, it's going to be a big season for Tremaine Edmonds, really coming in as the linchpin of that revamped linebacking core. But you're also factoring in, you're bringing in him with a secondary that has Jaquan Brisker in it, and we already know what Jaquan Brisker is as a leader. Jaquan Brisker and Tremaine Edmonds leading this defensive team. You can throw in Jalen Johnson as well. I know Jalen Johnson has talked about wanting to be a leader as well. But just looking at the leadership and the mentality of the leadership that we have here with those two players specifically, in Brisker and Tremaine Edmonds, you got two players that are going to go after it. They're going to get it. That are going to play with intensity, that tackle well, they do the fundamental things well, but also take accountability. And when you're a young team trying to grow and get to the next level, you want players that are going to hold themselves and their teammates accountable. And that is what Tremaine Edmonds is going to bring to the Chicago Bears defense. And then when you factor in the Walker and the other players that we have there as well, and Javon Dexter, Zach Pickens coming into the type of environment that we're trying to really culture and breed here in Chicago, that's what you want to see. And Tremaine Edmonds saying that he feels comfortable in the system and that he feels like he's going to thrive in the system. You want your players to buy in, because once they buy in, you can then get the other players to fall in line as well. We already know that we have players that buy into this hits principle that Matt Eberflus has. As we continue that, as that continues growing and becoming the Bears culture on that defensive side of the ball, you want players like Tremaine Edmonds, and Edmonds is going to go out and get it. I have no doubts about Edmonds' ability to go out and want it and going out to make a play, right? And we have playmakers on this team, and that is the biggest thing. When you look at Tyreek Stevenson, right, a playmaker, a player that is just going to go out and find a way to get it done, right? TJ Edwards as well, another playmaker. We are in a point that I think in my 36 years as a Bears fan that we have the potential for the offense and defense to both be really, really good. We got to see it come out on paper, right? And that's the biggest thing is we can talk about all these feel good vibes all offseason, right? But it has to come out on paper. We have to see it translate to wins in some meaningful way for the Chicago Bears. They're going to lose some close games to start, more than likely, right? Unless training camp and OTAs gets us in a place that I don't necessarily foresee right now. I think we're gonna learn over the first 4 weeks, 6 weeks of the season. But I tell you what, the potential here on this team is ridiculous. And I've been saying it for weeks now. Super excited about the Chicago Bears. But even with my excitement and other Bears excitement, I see a lot of you guys sharing it in the comment section on the YouTube side of things. There are still reasons why Chicago Bears fans are pessimistic. And I got to give this one out to Bears Goggles On, which is a great website. They talked about the top 3 reasons Bears fans should still be pessimistic about the team. And I actually think that this was a pretty well-rounded list, right? A pretty fair list on why some Bears fans still have pessimism about this team. And the first one that they listed, did we upgrade our pass rush enough, right? When you look at what we added to the defensive line, we did not address the edge in a way that a lot of Bears fans were hoping, wishing, and thinking we were going to. Can't take away from that, right? But we have made upgrades on that defensive line, and I do think that some people have the mindset that everything comes from the edge as far as quarterback pressure, which with Matt Eberflus's system, it's more about the interior defensive line. But to still have questions, especially considering we're relying on Billings, who we don't really know, doesn't typically look like the type of player that would fit in Eberflus's system and that we may go after, but what he can bring, right? When you look at just the other players that we brought in, when you look at Travis Gibson, does he grow, right? Walker, what he brings in that skill set. There are tons of reasons to still question if we're going to get enough pressure on the quarterback. When you look at us adding one of the best coverage linebackers in the game in Edmonds, that's great in coverage. And I think that we don't have that proven threat that's just going to get to the quarterback a ton, right? But that does not mean that it's not going to come together and get DeMarcus Walker, 7 sacks last season. That would have led the Chicago Bears. So we improved it some. But I understand Bears fans' pessimism on did we do enough in that edge to upgrade our pass rush, right? Next up that they had on this list, the pieces around Justin Fields being better on paper. And that's one of the things that I've been saying in the last couple of weeks is on paper, because right now that's all we have is on paper. We upgraded on paper, but we need to see it come to fruition on the field. And some people, whether right or wrong, however you view it, they don't believe it until they see it, right? We've seen it across the NFL. There are some teams that on paper look good, but it doesn't quite come together the way that you would think of on paper, the way that it does on Madden in real life, right? And so that's always going to be a big share of the pessimism around this Bears team until we actually see it in real life, in real reps, when the lights are on and the jerseys and pads are on. Until we see it work that way and in that area, there are always going to be some Bears fans that have some pessimism about this team. And I, for one, can't knock it. I don't agree always, but I can't knock it because, hey, it's hard to not believe in something that you're seeing, right? And so that on paper part is going to be a big part of it as well. And then the biggest thing, Justin Fields. There are still enough people that doubt what Justin Fields can be as a passer, as a quarterback, as a lead man. And while I look at Justin Fields and I see a playmaker, I also saw Justin Fields in college being somebody who lives in Columbus. I saw a lot of Justin Fields, and I don't necessarily share that pessimism because I think you give him the protection and the time and the weapons, I think he's going to be able to utilize it. But again, that's another thing that goes back on paper. He has not shown the passing game to a lot of Bears fans for them to believe in it, right? And so until he shows it, we can talk about he has the arm or not all day, but until they see Justin Fields grow as a passer on the football field, there's going to be a lot of people who don't necessarily believe in what he can do. And so, again, to give this list, I wanted to give this list to give a counterpoint because I am a very optimistic person when it comes to the Chicago Bears team. I love what Ryan Poles has done. I love what Ryan Poles has built, but I also want to give credence to the people who do have some pessimism around this team. It's understandable, right? And we don't always have to agree to be able to understand, and that is something that I share. I can understand where a lot of that pessimism is coming from. I also think when you look at the running back room, right, a lot of us are very high on it. Some people aren't as high on it, right, because David Montgomery went away. So we got to start seeing these things come together on the field. And I think that about more than halfway through the season, so less than halfway through the season, I think after the first month of the season, that there's going to be enough shown that us and Bears fans, we kind of all come on one accord and realize that we could have one of the best teams that we've had in quite a while. And I really do think that, and it's not all going to come together in this one season. We're still kind of setting that groundwork, but I think we're on our path to a playoff appearance this year. And we'll see if that ends up coming true. What else do you think? What are some other reasons for pessimism from Chicago Bears fans? Let me know that down below. What are some of the reasons you are more optimistic about the outlook for the Chicago Bears? Let me know that down below as well. But that's it for today. Make sure you guys are following the show at Chi Bear Central on every social media platform. You can also send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related because of you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.